Greetings, everyone. Let's start out with these monthly expenses. This is my Enbridge bill, and this comes every month. And the Enbridge is gas, what's used to heat my home. This is, I believe, the electric bill. Yes, I had to double check. So this one was the electric bill. And of course, I have to hide the information above, because my personal data is there. So it's $341.30. And this is electric bill. You know what covers, electric bill. And I'm going to tell you that my home is very illuminated. It has a lot of windows. So there's absolutely no reason why I would have electricity on in the day. And I only keep the light on in a space that I'm in. Okay, and peak hours in the daytime. If you're using these things in the daytime, like cooking in the daytime and things like that, it will make your electricity big. So I really monitor this closely. And laundry, I do once or twice a week, the most. And if I'm using my dishwasher, I use it after 7. And if I do use washer and dryer in the week, I use it after 7 p.m. because those are the cheaper periods. So I'm doing everything to monitor my electric bill, and in spite of that, it's still $341. This is the water bill, and it comes every 3 months. And so this bill is $323.79. Now, if it's not paid by March 4th, we will have to pay a 2% late payment charge. Okay. Now, if we're going to look through this, water consumption $85.85, water service charges $35.74, sewer usage, that's $146.01, sewer service charges $14.19, and change of occupancy charge. So I had to pay $42 because I moved here. So this is the water, and it comes every 3 months. $323.79. There's a reason why I'm sharing these bills with you. I often hear people say, Jenny, you're so straightforward and you're so open, and I can't play with the BS. I just have to be as real as I possibly can be, because what I'm going to talk about in this video, so many persons can relate to it. And I'm just going to share my story, and I'm going to just encourage some people. There's so much things I want to talk about in this video, and I really should have taken some notes so that I don't forget anything. But if I remember anything after I end this video, I'll just do a part 2. In the beginning of the video, I showed you bills: my water bill, my electric bill, and my gas bill. And those are just 3 bills. We're not talking about insurance. We're not talking about mortgage. We're not talking about food expenses. It's so much. And I want to say to anyone who's listening here, do not let anyone force you in any position to do anything that you cannot afford to do. Do not try to impress anybody, because at the end of the day, your joy, your peace is what really matters. The reason why I'm showing these bills is because sometimes I receive some comments and I choose to ignore them, but I sometimes choose to address it because there are people who wish someone could speak on their behalf. And as a Jamaican living in Canada, some of our families or friends back home do not understand these things. And we don't fault them, because if you live in Jamaica and you have no bills and you have no expenses, it's kind of hard to understand. When you live in these parts where and you are working and you're afraid to take a day off, because if you do, you might not be able to afford one of your bills, it's a whole other story. And that's the reality for somebody who's ambitious in this country. So if you don't have a home, don't beat yourself. Don't say to yourself, I am a loser, or don't let anyone cause you to feel that way. Because I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to tell you, if you don't have 3 incomes in your household, you will not be able to afford a home in this country. So sometimes it's easier to rent, because after you pay your rent, you might have to pay additional expense in terms of electric bill and whatever, but sometimes you're renting the upper portion of a house, and so the persons in the basement might be going 60/40, or sometimes in some cases 50/50 in paying these expenses. But in every household, you need at least 3 incomes, and even so, to break even. So for individuals who have their own home and it's already paid off, good for you. But the thing is, while you were paying your mortgage and all these bills over the years, it was not easy. It couldn't have been easy. And this is why I'm against, for example, people getting married. And when they get married to people, say, for example, you met someone in Jamaica and you brought them to the country, and all of a sudden, things don't work out. And before you know it, you have to sell your home and go 50/50. I'm going to use this opportunity right here to say to women or men, if you're getting involved in relationships and people come to find you with your asset, protect your assets. Because this whole love thing, it's a very dicey situation, because people nowadays, their love is not unconditional. And I've seen many women lose everything because they were not thinking, or they were thinking with parts of their body that they should be thinking. I digressed a little bit. So I'm saying all of this to say that you have to be very ambitious, and you have to be very willing to suffer if you live in Canada. In order for you to achieve anything, sometimes you have to question the quality of life, because if you are just paying bills and bills, and you can't go for a night's dinner, you can't go on a vacation. Some people value these things. Some people would rather have a house that they rent and they can still have a good quality of life, as opposed to having a beautiful home and they cannot get to enjoy it, right? And I'm going to tell you, if it was just 2 persons in my household, we wouldn't be able to afford our home. We wouldn't. We wouldn't be able to afford it. And the message that is sent, if you live here, is that you stay in the squalor, stay in the dump, or suffer the consequences. I'm going to explain that in another time. There are people who are renting here and they're very comfortable. I've rented for many years, and I know people who are renting and they make that space their own and they take care of it, and then they build back home. But sometimes when you have all these expenses here, you cannot build back home. Where is that money going to come from? You literally are living paycheck to paycheck if you don't learn how to balance that. And so when you see people with anything or achieve anything in this country, there's nothing handed out to them, and it's not being made easy. Okay? It's not easy. It's difficult. So when you find yourself in these situations, it's a balancing act. You just have to look towards the future, stay focused on your goals, try to find a way to stay together as a family, to build together. And don't believe that it's your home. You can do anything you want to do with it. There are people who have their home and they have to sell it because they can't afford it, because they live in cities that says you can't rent it. You can't rent it and live there. And it's a whole other story. The city that I live in, you're not allowed to rent your home that you live in. You have to ask permission to do so from the powers that be. So I've learned a lot since I moved here, because I realized that quality of life is far more important than the luxury items that we amass. You know, the lifestyle that people try to flaunt. If that works for you and that makes you happy, but when I think of these things, I think of them as investments, because it's hard. You're not enjoying life. If you really live here and you want something, there's not a lot of enjoyment. There's not a lot to enjoy because you're busy in work. I want to address a few persons. One individual, and at the end of this video, you'll see a little clip of my YouTube information. I don't have to show you guys anything, but I just want to make it very clear, because the person made a statement, because I was talking about tourists in Jamaica shitting, sorry, I don't want to be nice about it, in our rivers. People coming from all over with their whatever it is they carry with them, contaminating our spaces, running wild and free. And the person had the audacity to say to me, how would I feel if, when I live in Canada away from my home, and someone made me feel that way? First of all, I don't live here for free. And I pay bills and I pay taxes in this country. Tax on top of tax. Taxes, we're always taxed. And our quality of life is not that great. Number one, we can't find good food to eat. Half the time I buy my groceries, I have to dump it. And half the time, well, now that I have moved, I can't even find my own food, which is very depressing for me. And while I'm in this space, no favors granted to me other than the one that I, work hard to achieve. Nobody's here to feel sorry for me and grant me any special privileges. I cannot do anything here that I feel like doing, because I would violate whatever rules or laws that are here. I can't just do as I like or do as I please. And I'm not living here free. 2 months out without income, we'd be homeless, because the system doesn't allow you to have money packed up and saved up. These are just a few bills that I shared. And I'm not going to lie, it is very depressing, because if you're not playing that dance and understand how to do that dance, you'll never have anything. Okay? This is why I'm saying to somebody, if you've lost your home for whatever reason, through divorce, through sickness, whatever it is, don't be too hard on yourself. Sometimes getting rid of that baggage so that you can have peace of mind is very important. And whatever you have lost, you can get it back. Use this time to heal. Use this opportunity to, grow deeper in your spiritual life. Because that is what really matters. It's not the material things. I have lived in spaces, tiny spaces, where I felt peace and joy. I had no debts. I had a few bills. And I've lived in bigger spaces where the bills were so much that I was choking, and we were choking on it. We just got through it because we stayed focused. In terms of the person saying that, we're making content and calling these people's names because of YouTube money that we're making, it obviously you don't know me and you're not on this channel, and you don't know that I've been on this space for over 11 years, and it was never about money for me. It wasn't. And still, I don't want to make content anymore without being paid. Let me make that very clear. But it was never about money. And it's still not about money. I don't know if that confuses you. But I can understand why people think, yeah, you're doing this because of money. And I don't blame the people who do. It's a tough life here in Canada. It's hard. A lot of sacrifices. A lot of going without. And there are a lot of times when I just want to pack it in. I'm not going to beat around the bush. There are a lot of times when I'm like, okay, I'm examining my quality of life and looking at the things that are important to me. And only bidding my time until the time is right. Okay? I thought I was going to be angry and cuss out somebody when I started this video because of the remark that the person made. But for some reason, the spirit is just talking to me and saying, it's not worth it. Don't even bother. I wanted to cuss out that person, If I'm making videos for money, I'm supposed to. And if I was even coming out here and begging for support, I'm supposed to. And what do I mean I'm supposed to? If I ask someone to watch my ads and I ask someone to, comment or do whatever people do so that the video, shows that people are engaging with it, there's nothing wrong with that. I put in my time. Anyway. For the person who asked me how I'm living here in Canada, such a wonderful life, and if I want people to treat me badly, I have a right to speak on what goes on in my country. That is my place of birth, okay? And that is the issue. I find most of the people who are negative are Jamaicans, and it disgusts me. It makes me sick. We will never be better as a nation because we don't believe in community building. We don't believe in, looking out for what is ours and protecting what is ours, because everybody protect what is theirs. There are certain cities in this country where if you want to live there, you're going to pay more taxes, and the tax is so high. Remember, these bills that I'm showing you, I'm not showing you my taxes. My taxes per year is $6,700. I'm sharing it all. I'm bearing it all so you can understand and so you can shut up if you don't know what you're talking about. There are certain cities where the tax is so high because they want to keep out certain individuals out of those communities. Deliberate. This is paradise? How is this paradise? My child is 16 years old and she's never had one good experience in school. She's been kicked. She's been called names. Her hair has been pulled. And if I was not the type of person that I am, I don't know what would happen to my child. She's in a new school, and every day she calls me on her phone to talk to me because nobody talks to her. And thank goodness she's the type of person, we teach her self-love, to appreciate herself. She's had some horrible experiences in this country, and so have I. Don't talk to me about how great and wonderful Canada is. You see, every time I do this, This is why my channel doesn't grow. This is why I get, my wings got clipped on the platform. But I just don't know how to be fake. It's these kinds of conversation. If I had started a platform without talking about these things, it would grow. And it's starting to grow, and here I am. But I have to tell my truth. There's some things I cannot tolerate. See, in this country, people are taught to tolerate human beings. And that is one of the worst things I've ever heard in my life. But when I say tolerate are things that I cannot tolerate is people who talk about things they don't know nothing about. Project their feelings on you, their fantasy. Because a lot of us as African people, we live in this fantasy that the world is good and people's hearts are clean and people care about us. When in reality, we have to just learn how to care about ourselves. If we are seeming to be elevating, you know how that go, as the Jamaicans say. It's a balancing act. Nothing is given free. You have to work for that. And you have to humble yourself. I've had to humble myself. I've had people much younger than me talk to me like I was a child. I've experienced some things in this country that broke me. And I'm not talking about breaking me financially. I'm talking broke me mentally. If it had not been for my spiritual life, I couldn't be talking to you. A lot of us fall into depression in these parts, but people will never understand, and some people just won't share it, and I don't blame them, because when you share these things, you become more vulnerable. But I just don't care. You can't hurt me with something that I tell you. Life is not easy. Don't envy other people because you don't know what they have to go through, what they have to face, the sacrifices they have to make. Just do your thing. And if you have your hopes and your dreams and you're walking towards them, just continue and be strong. So when I say to folks, I just don't have the time to give you like I used to, you have to understand. And in 2024, I'm telling the straightforward truth. We got electric bill, we have, gas, we have whatever. We have internet, we have phone bills. OMG, they have to be paid. So in the past, I would be so available to share my time with folks who wouldn't even press a like on my video, who never say at the end of the year, Jenny, here's a donation, even though they consume so much of my time. I can't do that. I'm not doing that anymore. You understand? Just not in a position to be able to do that. I got bills to pay. Yeah. And until I start getting paid, even on this platform, I got to find ways to grow with my family. Do you understand? Yeah. Anyway, it's longer than I intended to go. Just wanted to share these things with you, just to be open and honest. And if you feel moved to talk back to me, please do so. Otherwise, just ruminate on what I've just shared. Stay blessed. The last time I got paid, $124.44 was June last year, and I still put the content out. I still put the content out there. I still show up for my supporters because I know one day this is going to work. One day, this is going to be a source of income for me. I don't give up easily, and I trust my guides. One day, value will be shown here.